Hi, how's it going? My name is Ian Lepkowski, and I'm here to recap Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 3, The Queen's Justice, in 5 minutes or less. The episode begins with Jon Snow instantaneously arriving on the shores of Dragonstone. The show's pace has certainly increased as we edge closer towards the series finale. As Jon approaches the castle, boldly boasting, "I'm not a Stark," to Tyrion's jeers about Starks having bad luck traveling south, a dragon simultaneously swoops. This is probably the producers and directors' way of screaming at us that Jon is actually a Targaryen, but we'll see. If you haven't yet heard the Jon Snow Targaryen theory, you could read up on it after this video by clicking the link to our article. The scene cuts to Melisandre and Varys watching Jon's arrival on the cliffs above. She explains that she's done her job now that she's brought ice and fire together. However, she seems to foreshadow that before the series is over, she'll find a way to die in Westeros, and so will Varys. In the Dragonstone throne room, Missandei introduces Daenerys with her 189 titles, and Davos introduces Jon with his one. As conversation begins, Jon and Daenerys have an uncomfortable clashing of minds, as opposed to a raunchy clashing of bodies as we had hoped. Theon Greyjoy is rescued by his Ironborn brethren, who, in classic Ironborn style, shame him for being a pitiful, weak coward that obviously made no attempt at saving his sister Yara from Euron's clutches. At King's Landing, Euron marches through the streets, prisoners Ellaria Sands and Yara Greyjoy in tow, as he presents them both as gifts to Queen Cersei. Pleased with his delivery, Cersei agrees to wed Euron if he is able to end the war with a declaration of victory for the throne. Emboldened by his newly received praise, Euron taunts Jaime, asking him if Cersei enjoys a thumb in the bum when, In the dungeons, Cersei stands proudly before Ellaria to deliver her vengeance with the utmost poetic justice. With a kiss of poison called the Long Night, she then leaves Ellaria to watch her daughter suffer and die in the same way that Jaime suffers the loss of his and Cersei's daughter. Cersei meets with an iron banker who informs her that she has no money left to wage or win a war. However, she reminds him that Lannisters always pay their debts, and expecting a Dothraki to do the same would be the equivalent of expecting a dog to buy you a steak because you gave him a bone. The banker realizes this and agrees to support Cersei. At Dragonstone, Jon is throwing a temper tantrum about Daenerys' disregard for and disbelief of the Night King's White Walker army of the dead. However, Tyrion is there to remind him that it's easier to ask for permission to mine dragonglass than it is to ask for support to fight an unknown and unseen enemy. At Winterfell, Sansa is in charge, and she's a natural leader. She's gained wisdom through her betrayal, pain, and suffering. Lord Baelish is there to cheer her on, as he's still spitting his game in the hopes of getting some. Unexpectedly, Bran arrives at Winterfell, and Sansa is brought to tears, while Bran maintains a stoic look of, "I'm the three-eyed raven now." Clearly, he needs to use his magical powers to help Jon Snow defeat the White Walkers, but it will have to wait for his return from Dragonstone. Sam has cured Jorah, and despite the old grouchy maester realizing this, there is neither a reward nor punishment for his deed. Tyrion plans the siege on Casterly Rock, believing that he will have the advantage due to knowledge of a secret sewer tunnel that he himself built long ago for the purpose of sneaking whores into Casterly Rock. At first, he seems to be right. However, after Grey Worm takes the castle, he realizes that there are not nearly enough troops there to compose the whole of the Lannister army. Surprisingly, the sewer plan was a shitty plan. Euron burns his ships, and we see Jaime with the real bulk of the Lannister army at Highgarden. In his logic, the best defense in this scenario is a powerful offense. So he sacrifices Casterly Rock for the time being in order to bring death to Olenna Tyrell. Avoiding gore, Jaime has prepared a painless poison for Olenna to drink in her wine. She willingly drinks it, accepting defeat. However, in true badass fashion, for which Olenna Tyrell has come to be known and loved, she spends her last few moments claiming emotional vengeance, while she informs Jaime that it was her that was responsible for poisoning Joffrey. She tells him to pass the message along to Cersei, and surprisingly, he walks out of the room, leaving her to die, as opposed to rescinding the kind sentiment of a painless poison by driving his dagger through her throat as she painfully chokes to death, regurgitating her own blood. Jaime Lannister. What a gentleman.